as I was talking, I was like, man, it sounds like it means that as a Christian, you can't elevate yourself, but you can. I think you just have to always keep God at the center.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes
And
there's
that's a
people that
daily.
lose sight of that. Just make a connection.
Yeah.
If you can get on set and you like become friends with the PA, that PA might reach out to you one time when they're not available and be like, hey, can you PA for me on this other set? God provided. It was like this weird, crazy, like I would be sitting on nothing and then all of a sudden somebody would hit me up like, hey, can you do this job for $500? And I'd be like, yes, bro, that's what I need to cover the rest of my rent, like whatever it was.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, StephenMotivate, back again with another episode of The Journey to Freedom. Today, we have another special guest with us. He's an award-winning director, cinematographer, a colorist, which I don't even know what that means, but I'm going to find out today. He's the founder of MV2 Creative, which is a Charlotte-based production company that's been raising the bar for what visual content can be, not just in the Carolinas, but nationwide. And so from freelancing and a tough creative landscape to building a brand that now turns heads across industries, he's a force in the world of film and media. Today, we're diving into his journey, the hustle behind MV2 Creative, and what it really takes to bring a vision to life frame by frame. Welcome to the show, Maurice Victor II.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Did I do a good job on the intro?
Yeah, that was a bit much, man. Thank you.
So let's jump right into it. How in the world, this is what you do full time?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So in 2025, prices are going up. Life is crazy. People are living out of their cars, can barely afford, certainly can't afford to buy a house, can barely afford rent. How are you surviving being a creative in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the whole journey and like the amount of time it takes to get to a certain place.
Yeah.
I think if you asked me the same question like 3 years ago, I'd be like, I don't know how I'm doing it. I'm barely surviving.
Yeah.
Because that's when I first started.
Okay.
But after like a couple of years of just like building the brand and increasing the level of work that we're putting out, I'm happy to say that this year has been like one of our best years. And so for us, it hasn't been like a struggle to survive. It's actually the opposite end of the spectrum where we're like trying to say no to some things.
Really?
Because of how much is coming our way.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to you for that.
Thank you.
So explain to us what you do.
Yeah, so I run a video production company. I'm a director, DP, which is basically just I can create ideas and bring them to fruition. And then also like director of photography, DP, is kind of the person behind the camera who's making the frame look the way it looks. So they usually are separate roles. There's been times where I've worked as just a director or just a DP, but for the most part, I do both.
Okay. And so how did you get started and to the point where it's now, this is your thing. MV2 Creative is your thing that you started. How did you get there?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey. So about 9 years ago now, or 8 years ago, in high school, I took a class. It was a digital multimedia class where we kind of just, it was really like a class to goof around for most people. But for me, I kind of like fell in love with it. I wanted to actually try and learn.
Really?
So through that class, I got certified as an editor. And that's when I got like really just nerdy and really into this. And I was like, wait, like, let me pick up a camera and see what I can do. So then throughout college was when I like really just got my first camera from my parents and just shot everything I could.
Really?
And so it's just been a constant journey. It's always been a side hustle, even if it wasn't MV2 Creative at the time. So I worked full-time jobs. I worked in an agency, worked at Pitt as a creative director for women's basketball.
Okay.
But throughout all that time, I was still freelancing on the side.
University of Pittsburgh?
Stuff. Yeah.
Pitt? That's nice. So where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Liberty University.
Liberty
Virginia.
University, okay.
Yeah.
Christian University?
Yep.
That's cool. Were you there when all the crazy stuff was going on? Wow.
Yeah. I was there in the midst of it.
Really?
Funny enough, a lot of people ask me questions about that. Like, they're like, how was your experience? Like, did you, encounter this and that? And I'm like, nah, I was just hooping on the basketball courts.
Yeah.
I met my wife there, actually.
Oh, really?
My sister went there. And, like, we had our own little tight community that we just stuck around. And
despite the drama and all that.
The drama all disappeared when we were on the court. You know what I mean? Like, it's just hoopers hooping.
Yeah,
that's mostly what I did. I was playing basketball a lot, and then when I wasn't playing, I was working.
Were you
basketball.
playing for the university?
No.
Okay,
No, just like intramurals, pickup,
recreational,
anywhere I could get it.
No, that's awesome. I wish I could get back into basketball myself, but I think I'm getting too old. But
I feel that.
So this class, was it like your decision to take this class, or did someone kind of push you into it?
Yeah, it was my decision.
Okay.
It was one of those like I went to like a college prep school in high school, and it was like you got to choose your electives and all that kind of stuff, and I had like a free credit left. And everybody told me like you should just take this class because it's like free lunch. Like basically the teacher will dismiss you to go get shots, and you can just go to the cafeteria, hang out,
Do whatever
and he
you
doesn't
want.
care like what you do. But I took it for that reason, just to fill an elective. But then when I started like doing the class, and he would tell us to go get certain shots and give us a little camera, everybody else would be trying to go goof off, and I'd be like, wait, can we try can we frame it up? Can we get the shot? So I became like kind of like the nerd. Like I was just a little too much into it, and I would stay after class, ask extra questions about Premiere Pro and even Photoshop a little bit.
But it was your first exposure to it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Like
you were kind of maybe exposed a little bit. And the reason I asked
like,
this, was anything else of interest to you prior? Did you
not
want to go
really.
be a hooper? Did you want to be a musician?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Like I kind of did a little bit of everything. So I did play saxophone. I was in a band.
Okay.
So I did that, but I wasn't like trying to pursue that after high school. It was just my parents made me play an instrument, so I played an instrument.
Right.
I played basketball, but like pretty fast I knew like I wasn't going anywhere with this. So there was for a while I wanted to play in college, but once I realized like it was gonna have to be like D3, I was like, I'm not gonna go try and pursue this career just to like pay for school anyways, and not really have that great of a time.
Right.
So the initial thought process was maybe trying out for Liberty basketball, but then that door shut pretty quickly.
Okay.
And after that, it was just like, I'm just gonna play for fun and see what I do.
Yeah.
But to answer your question though, I didn't know what I wanted to do in life at the time. And my dad was on me like every single year of high school. Yeah. Because he's, foreign parents are just very like, they want you to have a goal and a purpose for your life.
So tell us about your parents. Yeah.
So they're Haitian.
You're Haitian.
They both immigrated from Haiti.
Wow.
Way back when they were like probably high school age also.
Okay.
And they came to seek a better life, better opportunity, and they were very driven. So when I was in school, I mean, they moved from Homestead, Miami, where we grew up in, to Sarasota, Florida.
Okay.
Just because of like school systems. Like they wanted us to be in the best school we could be in, and just raised the right way. And so that came with also checking in and being like, hey, what's your goal? Like, what do you want to do in life? And my older sister kind of messed things up for me because she, since like 4th grade, I think, was always saying that she wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And she went through all the way. She actually, funny enough, she's not a lawyer, but she did go to law. Like she went all the way through, did pre-law in school. So from 4th grade until she was like 25, she was on the path that she had set. And so for them, like they were turning to me like, hey, what's your plan? And I was like, I don't know. I just want to play basketball for the longest. Then when basketball kind of, I realized like this isn't going to be the path. Then it was like, I don't know. Like, I guess I'll just see when I go to college. And they didn't like that. So they were kind of always trying to like push me. And I was a little nervous about it. I was like, I really don't know what I'm going to college for until I took that class.
Right.
And I realized like, oh, this is really interesting. I like it. So then when I did college visits, I was looking into like film school and all that kind of stuff. But I ended up not studying film. Funny enough, I studied communications. Okay. Because I wanted to be a little more broad.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of how I got on that journey.
I guess, do you feel like, and I always ask people this, is it nature or nurture? Was it this prodding, this pushing in retrospect that you think helped you get to where you're at today, where you're turning away business? Or was it just in you to become this person? So was it nature or was it nurture?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a little bit of it was nature, because yes, there may have been like nothing at the time that like led me into doing this. And like my parents' prodding might have like helped me just decide on something. Yeah. But I do think like looking back, it took me a while, but I found this old like YouTube channel or something that I had put out from when I was like a kid. Yeah. And I put these little slideshows that I made of like our family photos and whatnot. And I used to go on Windows Movie Maker and like just make slideshows.
How
like
old are you thinking about?
Probably like 9 or 10, like 9 or 10, yeah, something like that. But young. As a kid, I always had a camera around my neck. I was always taking the family photos, and I was always messing around with the camera and like just like playing around with it. Right. And I think I never thought of that as like maybe that's always been in me to like mess with cameras. But it just felt like, oh, that's just what kids do. Like they have a digital camera, they mess around with it. But looking back, I'm like, maybe that was kind of like I just liked putting stories together. So it was my family, but I enjoyed. Like if we were on vacation, I would take pictures of the trees and of like my siblings and whatnot and just put together a slideshow of it.
Yeah.
And now
awesome.
like fast forward, it's like I'm doing a similar thing, but just on a different level.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Okay. That's
So
good.
I think nature.
Yeah, nature. It sounds like this one was nature, even though, and I think for parents out there, it's nothing wrong with kind of pushing and prodding. That may have helped a little bit, but it's interesting to think that this may have always been in you. Do you feel like this is your purpose now?
Yeah, for sure. There's I talked to my wife about it a lot actually, about like, you know, there definitely was a point where like money was super important because, you know, you're trying to pay bills, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that. But I've reached a point now where, yes, there's the things that are for business, for making money, but then there's like a whole part of a section of what I do that I'm just like, I don't care if I get paid for this. I just need to make this video, or like, I'll hop on someone else's project and help them regardless of what the pay is, because there's certain things that I just enjoy about this. Like I like doing what I do. So
That's
you could take all the
fantastic.
money away and I'd probably still be doing this.
Find a way to
Because
still
it's
do
just,
it.
yeah, it's just fun.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so go back to when the money. So you go through college. We understand that you get out and immediately it's like, all right, I'm about to start selling this. Money is an issue. Do you focus on one industry? Do you start doing weddings? Do you start going to youth, basketball or sports? Like, what did you do to get started when it was nothing? Was MV2 even did you have the name right after college?
So I actually had the name before college.
Okay, wow.
So in high school, I played basketball for my high school team, and the first thing I did do was I started as a graphic designer. So I was making our like pregame like graphics, and I was making these little videos off of other content creators' videos. So they would send me their footage, and I would like cut up a little edit.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I was MV2 Edits. That was like the very first name.
First iteration.
I was probably like 18 or 19 when I had that name, and that was always like the side hustle. Like it was always the thing in the background was MV2 Edits. Had a little page for it.
Yeah.
But no, after college, I immediately got an agency job. That was my first thing after college. And I think at the time it was a money thing because, you're post college, you want to work in the industry and you want to make money right away because, like, once you finish college, the loans start coming for you. You got rent to pay. Like, there's really no break. You just immediately go into it.
Yep.
So I got an agency job. It was horrible. But I worked it for maybe 6 months.
What does an agency job mean? You're at a marketing agency?
Yeah, it was a creative agency.
Agency, okay.
Basically they worked with some like gospel artists and some like TV, like entertainment clients where they basically made social content. They pushed out a bunch of, so we would shoot it, we'd edit it, we would post.
Got it.
So I was kind of doing a mix of like social media management, strategy, and then also like directing, editing,
executing
and all the stuff.
So getting this job, did that come easy?
Actually, yes. Okay. So it's been a weird journey. So I didn't really apply. It was just like during college, like maybe my sophomore year, I had taken some pictures of Travis Green when he came to the school, and the owner of the agency had seen the photos, reached out to me. But at the time, I was still in school, and he was looking for somebody to come work for him. And I was like, well, I got to finish school. Like, I'm not going to quit.
Yeah.
And so he's like, cool, I'll give you a call when you finish. And he did. So as soon as I graduated, he gave me a call. He's like, hey, I think you should have graduated by now. And yeah, he offered me the job. It was very low paying, like disrespectfully low. That's part of why it was bad. But again, post college, you're not really thinking numbers or whatever. You're just thinking opportunity. Like, all right, I get to work with one of the biggest gospel artists in the industry. I get to like have all these things on my portfolio. Like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So I did it for a few months, and then when I realized like this isn't really worth what I deserve more. Yeah. I negotiated a raise, and then I decided I didn't want to be there, so I quit. And then that's when I went to Pitt as a creative director, which also was like a weird, just the way things intersected was crazy.
So 2 questions. Pause you for a second. One, do you think kids in today's environment that want to do creative work, what you're doing, should go to college?
That's a good question. I think maybe I'm gonna go in the middle because I think it's 2 paths. You can go to college and it can help you, but you could also just grind without college and you can make it. But you just have to be consistent and very, very driven. And you have to be able to make it through the hard beginning because it is a bumpy, like when you're starting out, you don't have clients, you don't have work to show people really, so you have to kind of like make your own path. I think I would do it differently if I was to take that path, I would probably approach it, hopefully, with a little bit more of like a driven approach and knowing exactly what I need to do to get to where I need to go. But post college, I didn't really know what I enjoyed shooting. I didn't know what my style was. Like I had a lot of things to discover. But I think college helped me in terms of connections. Like everything I just said, the jobs that I got were all college connections. Even in college, the work that I was doing, the connections that I had, leading me into that. Like if I never took the picture of that one guy, I wouldn't get the agency job.
Right.
I think college is connections. So it's like a very, very easy way to network, and you leave college with like all these people that you can kind of lean on and ask for advice and hopefully job opportunities.
I love that.
Don't do college, you're kind of just going out into the wild with nothing, but you have a 4-year head start on people that
actual
you
work.
can do actual work. Yeah.
I love that. College is connections. So remember that, folks that are watching. College is connections, which is I love the way you said that, because I think that's probably, and I think I've said it a different way on this show, probably one of the biggest pieces of value from college, if anything, and maybe a reason why you should still go.
There's probably better. Like I went to a university for 3 years, finished a little early. But if I was to, I've talked about this with kids because I want to know, what do I tell my kids when it's time for them to make the decision?
Right.
And I think if they are in a path that requires college and university, like go for it, do it. But there's ways to do it nowadays that like I should have done back then, like dual enrollment in high school, going in as like not a freshman, like take less time. I did take a year off my time,
right?
But
which is impressive.
If I wasn't messing around, I could have taken like 2 years off, but I fooled around my first year, and I just wasted a lot of time and credits and whatnot. But I wouldn't waste time because it is money and it adds up. And I would also just go to like a state school or community college to get my whatever you call it, like your gen eds and whatnot done.
General education.
And then you go to university for like the specialty stuff if you need it. Okay. But that would have saved me like a ton of money going into it. So I think for kids out there, like definitely
there's strategic ways to approach it instead of just carte blanche. Oh, got to go to university.
Yeah. And I think parents can be helpful. Like our generation should be more helpful to our kids
than the
because
previous.
we see the like, it's not quite like you just have to go to college.
Right.
I think our parents, especially foreign parents too, like their mindset is like what the American dream is. So they're like, you have to go to college for 4 years and then you get a job, you work there for 50 years, you retire. And then, that's like the
white picket fence. Yeah. No, that's good. And I think you're right. And hopefully as we get the baton, this generation, we can be a little more prescribed and surgical and, okay, do it this way, because I love your idea. Do your general eds, maybe find a way to navigate it. Take a couple years off. Like those are all things that if you know, and it can truly be an advantage. Question on the picture. So was the picture just a lucky shot? Was there 20 other students that had cameras at this Travis Green concert? Do you feel like it was the best picture you ever taken?
Yeah, at the time it was definitely the best picture I've taken. Okay. Like it was I don't think there were many photographers because it was just like a school event. Like it was like a worship night. Yeah. Very normal thing for people to go to. I'd been to so many without my camera. But for some reason that time I was like, I'm gonna bring my camera with me just to like maybe create something. So I took some pictures, I took some video while I was there, and there's like the university workers that are paid to be there, and maybe they're student workers. They were doing their thing, and then it was just me like sneaking into the aisle, grabbing a quick photo, and like going back to my seat. Like I was just messing around.
Right? Were you even allowed to do that? Because I feel like now at concerts, like put your phone up, don't have a camera. Do you have your badge?
I think it was allowed. I think.
Maybe
because I don't remember like trying to hide it. It wasn't like a secret.
Yeah.
I kind of did bring my camera to random things. Just that one event was like the one time that I brought it. And
do you feel like that was a God thing that you brought this camera?
I think so.
That
okay, yeah, I think so. Even though like the experience there at that job wasn't amazing, I still think it was a God thing, and it was like a path that I just had to go through.
That's good, because I think people are always trying to get out of the place they're at, when even though it may not be perfect, may not be the best pay, may not be a lot of things that you think it should be, it still could be what's needed for you then.
Yeah.
And for that moment.
I think it's purpose.
How bad was the pay? So
I'll tell you, it was $32,000.
$32,000. Okay, so that's like
no, was it lower?
That's like 15 or something an hour, maybe $15 an hour.
Yeah, I want to
Maybe
say
a
it was
little more.
32,000. Because
Yeah.
what is that like? That's about less than 3K a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's around where it was.
And it was just arduous because you were doing all this different stuff.
Yeah, well, I got to a point where just one day I was like, let me just research the different positions that I'm doing. And I don't know why I didn't do this before I got the job offer, but I was like, let me just see what the different positions are, what their minimum pay is, and then just see like how that stacks up to me. And like everything I looked up, like social strategist, social media manager, director, editor, like all these things were like 50K minimum.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
entry level.
Yeah.
And I was getting 32 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm doing like 4 or 5 of them. If you add it all together, I should be making like 100K.
Right, exactly. Is this how you negotiated the salary? When you
kind of, yeah. I was actually driving with the owner of the company.
Okay.
We were like riding into something, and I was like, hey, I did some research, and like at minimum, I should be making 50.
Yeah.
And he, he was one of those guys where like if you told him something that was true and you had researched and stuff, he's not gonna like deny it. He was kind of like, okay, fair enough. You want 50? Like, let's do it. I'll update your salary on Monday.
Yeah.
And I quit on like Sunday.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Which that's a whole nother story. But yeah, it was like that was the first like thing that I had done post college where I realized how negotiation works and like how
you have to
know your worth.
advocate for yourself.
Just advocate.
And
No
know
one's
your
gonna
own.
just. He would have let me work at 32 for however long. He
forever.
would not have cared.
Be working today
Until
at
I said
32.
something, and it took. I mean, I probably could have said higher because the way he instantly said, he was just like, "Yeah, sure." You want 50?
Was your
Okay.
work excellent
I
at that
don't
time?
think it was like amazing. It's not
But you felt like what
not
you
where
were
I'm.
doing.
But at the time, yeah, like
Thinking
felt
you were
like
doing
I
a pretty
was-
good job.
Yeah. So part of the main job that I was doing, there was like a lot of clients, but the biggest client that they had and that was on my plate was Maverick City Music, which is like,
Oh wow.
yeah, gospel group.
Yeah, Maverick
kinda
City.
like-
I think people know them now. I don't know
Yeah,
if they.
back then they were growing.
Okay.
Right. So before the agency job, for my last like 6 months of college, I was interning with Mav directly. So I was like running their social media.
Oh, wow.
And like making content for them. So they'd fly me out to different concerts and events, and I'll just at the time they were doing concerts. It was like worship nights, writing
nights, yeah.
camps, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll just make content, take photos, videos, put it together, post it.
That is really
come up
cool.
with a strategy. And then when I got the agency job, they signed Maverick as like a client, maybe like a month into my work there. So then they became like I was kind of like the leader on the Maverick City stuff. So in that like year of working with Mav directly and then through the agency, we grew their socials from like maybe 100K to like 900K.
Wow.
It might have been under 100K when I first started. It might have been like 50, but they were like this little young, like growing little band in Atlanta. And by the time I was leaving the company, which I wish I stayed like a month longer because I can't say I got them to 1 million. But yeah, they were at like 950K or something when I finally like logged out the account for the last time. But yeah, so I think personally, just because I'm always like if I look at my past work, there's always like a improvement, like room for improvement.
Sure.
I can't say it was like perfect work, but at the time it was like pretty good work in my opinion.
You're proud of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is even more interesting. So this is maybe off topic, but not really. So are gospel artists, do you feel like they're, I don't want to say it like this, but I'll say it like this and I'll try to clean it up. Do you think they're really Christian? and my
man.
cleanup
We're
will
getting
be
crazy.
and the reason I ask this is because, I have a whole view on this, but when you look at gospel artists, and I think Kirk Franklin I was watching one of his recent interviews on a podcast, EYL, and they brought up this thing in Jamaica where he was doing a concert and his body was moving in a way
he'd be
that
gyrating.
was gyrating, that he got a lot of flack for. And so you have been so close to, these folks that, one, they're super talented,
Yeah.
and obviously ends up being big business when you do something so excellent that everyone's drawn to it. But what would you say for the people that you were dealing with? Did it feel, and would you tie any of that to their faith or not?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think I can't personally judge like anyone's salvation and like if they're Christian or not, but based on actions and like things that I saw and like the fruit, I would say the artists themselves are great people. Like every artist that I worked with, even after I left the agency, I worked with a couple of them personally.
Yeah.
Just because I had prior relationships with them. So
Right. Y'all still cool.
A non-compete didn't really apply to me. So I was able to still work with the artists.
Okay.
But the executives are who I kind of have a little bit more like, I don't know about those people.
Rubbed you the wrong way a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Definitely. There's a lot of stuff. I can't get into all of it.
Yeah, sure. And we don't want to get.
There is a lot of some pretty strong evidence that like I don't believe that a lot of the executives around the gospel industry are Christian. Like I think they're just
focused on the business
that can make money. Yeah.
Like,
and I can't even discredit their business practices. Like they're good at making money. But I think that making the money is if they are Christian, they put that beneath the making the money.
From
and
what
I think
you've
that's
seen,
what influences a lot of like what you might see from the artists.
Yeah,
because they're being, I won't say controlled, but they're being guided by these people that are.
Let's do this. Let's do that.
It's less Christian focus and more like, hey, how do we make?
How do we monetize? Yeah. Right. Which could at times certainly conflict at least with what we perceive to be Christian values or what we've known.
Yeah,
especially
I mean, we're not really made for like Christianity isn't something that should constantly just be like constant growth and how much money can we make. I mean, if you look at even Maverick City, the way that they started and blew up was very like it had to be God. It was just like an accidental, like it was just a group of people that were just meeting to write music and like worship together. And they happened to throw up a camera and it happened like one of their videos blew up.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, everybody's like, yo, like what is this? I need this feeling. I need to be in the room. But at the time, they felt that power in small rooms. Like it was just rooms like they would record in a room this big, but pack it with like 50 people.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, like everybody wanted to be there.
All types of fire code violations, which is not biblical.
Right. But at the time they were just doing stuff. Like it really there wasn't a plan for like
to blow
this
up.
Becoming a group or like blowing up. But then after they did get big, which I still think there was a long process of just they were growing and it was still good.
Yeah.
But then when they got this certain executive involved, he was like instantly like, all right, we got to start collabing with this person. We need to go on tour to make money and we got to sell merch and like we got to do this and that. Once it got to that point, you could see a visual shift.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people for this particular example, if you listen to Maverick City, you can hear a change in the music now versus when they first started. It was worse quality, but there was like a deeper feeling to it.
That's deep. And you know, I'm neutral in the fact that I understand business because I do a lot of business, and there is a sense, at least I would argue, that business in itself is not like inherently righteous. And I'll tell you when I learned this. So I used to work at Lowe's, and I worked at the corporate office and all that. When I was like, awesome, God blessed me to do this. And a lot of my friends that I grew up with, they went to prison, frankly. So they didn't have a similar path that I had. But when I got, it almost felt like, okay, I'm more blessed, or I'm doing the right thing because I work at this big corporation. But I started to notice when I was in the big corporation that, wow, there's some things that just aren't inherently Christian. It's business. You make money on it, but you don't know. And a lot of this stuff has gotten cleaned up, but you know, you don't know that this plastic is destroying a community in Cambodia, or, you know, there's things that we don't see on the surface that, maybe making money, but it could be causing a lot of things that aren't right on the back end. And it's just pure business. It's just me buying a chair and I have no idea that it has a lot of bad implications on the back end.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my kind of revelation. Like, oh, business is business, and it's not inherently like right or wrong. Because even if you're if you're doing what seems right and not doing the illegal thing that maybe your friends got in trouble for, it doesn't mean that there's like a messy, muddy, dirtier things happening even at something that seems pristine, even if you're working at Walmart or versus selling, you know, drugs or something on the street. We think there's obviously the person selling drugs is bad, right? But it's not.
It's really gray.
Yeah, it's really gray. So anyway, thanks for sharing that, because I know that can be messy, and that's not our goal to be messy. But that's interesting, because I am curious about how that business works and how you be the best with, because the world, you would think in terms of Christ versus the world, they have sometimes the best equipment, the best sound, all that. And you can see the argument as Christianity, and I feel like a lot of ways groups like Maverick City have made it more popular. Songs are better, whatever. And it seems like they now have the same level of equipment. And so from the outside looking in, it looks really like, oh, wow, we can be excellent too and still love God. We don't have to be just in a broken down shack with a terrible mic.
It's such a hard balance. Like as I was talking, I was like, man, it sounds like it means that as a Christian, you can't elevate yourself, but you can. I think you just have to always keep God at the center.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes there's
and that's
people
a daily
that lose sight of that.
Absolutely. Because if we don't, I mean, I'm a Christian. And so if we don't daily take up the cross or daily look at these things, it's like you can easily
lose focus. Yeah.
Lose focus because you're no longer daily thinking about, is what I'm doing really aligned? Like, Lord, help me.
And am I? Like sometimes I catch myself, like I get real busy and I'm like, man, is this like success from God or like, is this a distraction? Like it can be, it's a little crazy. Like when you really start thinking about it, you're like, man, success can actually be a bad thing. Like it can be like you're making money.
Yep.
Your business is booming, you're winning awards, but like how close are you to God?
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to just lose sight of it like that.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay, so let's jump into that a bit. So you leave that group, you're now completely on your own. You are still struggling to make money at this point when you
Yeah, definitely.
And so and I guess the baseline of this, what would you tell creatives out there who are struggling to make money?
I think just keep at it. Like I've definitely, there's like a picture on my phone from like December, the first year after I went freelance. So I went to Pitt, worked there for a year.
Yeah.
Then I quit that job and decided to go full-time freelance. And you know, you leave and you're kind of like, oh, it's gonna be great. And it wasn't too bad for the first few months. You know, I think I really, really launched it in March. I think that's when I moved to Charlotte and I really was like, all right, let's dig in and do this.
Yeah.
And it was good. Like I paid my bills, you know, all that stuff. But then like you know, fall, winter hits. And that's if you're creative and you do this, you know, fall, winter, that's when money dries up because companies usually are at the end of their budgets. They're spending less money. People need less ads. So you're getting less clients usually. So I hit like a really bad, like probably October, November, December.
Yeah.
In my first year. And I was like, man, like I thought I was doing okay. And all of a sudden the momentum just like stopped and it felt hard for those 3 months. It was like I was scraping by trying to like pay bills. And, you know, you're like sitting on your hands just like waiting for an inquiry email to come in because nobody knows about you yet in Charlotte.
Right.
And so it was definitely really hard. And at that moment, I came very close to just like going and getting a job.
Yeah.
Like I was like, maybe freelance isn't the thing for me. Maybe I just need to go get a corporate job and, you know, just do that for the rest of my life. And like, you know, thanks to my wife, my family, just people that believed in me that were like, yo, just hang on. Like, it's going to be okay. Like you remember how it went from March until October.
Right.
Like just hang on and stay at it consistently. And I think at that point was when I was like, all right, like I have to go even harder and decide that this is what I want to do. So I started like reaching out to more companies. And what I realized though with outreach was like, you can't really outreach unless you have something to show. And at the time, none of my work that I had done from March until that time was like good enough even in my opinion. I was like, this is cool, but it's not like, you don't feel like this is like a production company. It's just like I'm doing events and like random little videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to do commercials and like actual big budget looking things. And that was when I decided to do some spec ads.
Okay.
Which is a spec ad is just like a self-funded commercial that you're doing based on a certain brand.
Okay.
And it's done with the intention of either showing your audience and showing what you're capable of or using it for pitch decks and pitching to other companies to be like, hey, you see this commercial I could have done for Nike, I could do it for you. And this will be the price. And so I decided, I was like, I'm going to do 3, which I only ended up doing 2. But I sat down, planned it all out, like literally detail by detail. I decided like, this is who I need on this. This is the crew that I need to bring on. This is the concept. This is what I need location wise and talent wise. And then I just executed those. And that was like a big part of what's pushed me into the commercial space and doing what I do now.
That's awesome. So, okay, so 2 things come to my mind. Keep at it looks like what? Were you already married and were able to have your spouse help with some of the daily bills?
No, so I wasn't married yet.
Okay.
I was living on my own. I believe we were engaged because I was a little crazy. I quit my job and then proposed when I went full time.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Actually, she was like, "What are you trying to do?" And I was like, "Just trust it. Like it's gonna work out." And there's something about that, like just knowing in your head when God tells you something, you just got to do it. It doesn't matter what you think or what other people are like. Hey, that's a little crazy. Even my parents were a little bit, but my parents they're praying people.
Yeah.
In a year before I went freelance, I almost went like straight from college to freelance because of one of my friends.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "No," like he was just very traditional. He's like, "You need to get a job and like work there for 10 years and like, make a raise and then, do this and whatnot." And I was like, "I don't know if I'm going to work somewhere for 10 years, Dad." And then a year later, when I was actually going to go freelance, I kind of called him up and was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about going freelance." And it was less of a question. It was just more of like, "I think I'm doing this." Then I expected him to be like, "Are you sure?" And he was like, "If you believe that's what God's calling you to do, like do it and do it well." And so he was all about it. So I think what I did to keep going and just like when I say keep at it, it was one, just continuing to like do the work. So I was like posting on socials, making all these like reels and whatnot, like trying to get my name out there.
Yeah.
And when I hit that like rock bottom, it felt very easy to be like, man, like F all this. Like I'm not posting anymore. I'm not like, I'm going to delete the page. Like I'm just done. Like I'm just going to go get a job and like give up on this dream. But I had to keep going. Like you have to just keep posting, keep doing the work.
So give us an idea a little bit deeper of what posting and going harder looks like. Are you posting 4 times a day? Do the spec ads take a week to create, a month to create? Do you need money? Do you need?
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. It's a lot, and this was all over the course of like months too.
Yeah.
I think month to month, God provided. It was like this weird, crazy. Like I would be sitting on nothing, and then all of a sudden, somebody would hit me up like, "Hey, can you do this job for $500?" And I'd be like, "Yes, bro, that's what I need to cover the rest of my rent, like whatever it was." And, and it would happen, and it would be good. But posting, no, I didn't post like 4 times a day. I posted like maybe once every couple of days, like just, every other day, throw up something, like whether it's a mix of work that I'd done before or like an edit that I just did.
But something quality that you really believed in?
Yeah, something I believed in that just showed what I was capable of doing. Because one thing I run into with every creative I've ever met, well, most creative I've ever met, I studied communications. So I learned social strategy, social media, like what kind of gets people to tick and what gets people to follow you and all that kind of stuff. And what I noticed with a lot of creatives is, and it's the same mindset I have, we never feel like our work is good enough. Like we're always trying to improve and get better. So it makes a lot of people not want to post their work because they're like, well, that project was cool, but nah, like in a couple months, I'm gonna do a cooler one and then like, I'll post that one. And then that one comes and they're like, it's not perfect, I'll post later. Yeah. And it just turns into like, you never post, or you do this, like, I've seen a lot of people do this very curated, like I only post once every 6 months because I have like this batch of projects that I think are the best. And it's like, that's great. If you want to live that kind of life and it's working for you, that's fine. There's a lot of great DPs, directors, people that you probably never heard of on social media that are doing amazing. Yeah. So you don't need social media. Right. But it can be a tool when used properly. And what people want to see is your process. They want to see your work. They want to see how you did it. And they want to feel like you're an expert in your field. And you can't do that without talking, showing yourself, and showing your work and like the behind the scenes. Yeah. So what I started doing was I started recording myself talking to the camera, which was like so hard for me to do at first. Like I was like, man, I can't do this. Like I'm not an expert. Like why do I need to make videos if I'm not like, Steven Spielberg yet? Right. Like, why am I making videos? But to your point, I think you said this before we started, but there's always creatives that are at your level or like earlier in your path that want to learn from where you're at right now. So I talked to somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody told me, they're like, dude, somebody wants to learn what you know from like what you've learned from working at the agency until now, even if you don't feel perfect. So I started making talking videos. I would post like, I would record like BTS of me shooting something and post like the BTS and then the final thing that I made. Sometimes I just post my work. Like if I made a 30-second video for someone, I'd post a 30-second video. That I made it a point to post like every other day. Or like 3 times a week at minimum, like if I skip the weekends. But yeah, I did that. That would take a lot of time. Like, take hours to set up and tear down and like record the video and edit. But if I didn't have work coming in, I used that time to make those videos. I also started, I made it a thing where I was like, I have to meet other people in the industry and learn from them. So
another
I
good tip.
reach out, try and get coffee with somebody.
Yeah.
And not to get something out of them or to get them to hire me for a job. It was just like, let me learn from you. Like, tell me how you started and take one tip from them and hopefully apply it to my business and see how that works.
Genuinely making connections with other people that are in the same industry.
And sometimes those connections turn into work. And sometimes you don't hear from that person, or like maybe you don't stay as connected afterwards. And then a couple years later, you run into each other and you're like, yo, like I remember when I went for coffee and you know, whatnot. So started doing that. And now I've like ramped it up to even more of a goal where it's on my annual goal list of like, I have to meet a new creative, at least one new creative every month.
Oh, wow.
So every single month I'm like trying to, and some months it just happens. Like, it's just like, you know, I'll be in a city and someone's like, yo, can we get coffee? And it's like, all right, well, you just check that off my list.
Yeah, perfect.
But some months I have to be the person to be intentional and go find who should I go meet with for coffee to just chop it up and get to know each other.
Yeah, no, that's great. Tell us, as it started to build a little momentum and you started getting clients, couple things. One, how did you initially set boundaries with the clients? If you're really good and I basically, man, this guy's good, I want to hire you, or I want you to do more than what I'm paying you for. How did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably bad advice, but at first you kind of just have to like get taken advantage of because it
good
allows
advice.
people to realize your worth. And I think you got to get the reps in. So it's hard because I do meet a lot of creatives that will ask me like, what's your pricing like right now? And I'm like, I can't like tell them like, you shouldn't be at my price right now.
Right.
But the reality is you should be lower priced at some point in order to build up your portfolio.
Right.
So like at first, I was charging like $500 to do a shoot, and I'd be doing all this stuff, like all these deliverables, giving you raw footage, like just going crazy. And looking back, I'm like, what was I doing? But it gives you the chance. Like it allows you to connect with businesses and people. And at the end of the day, I still try to over deliver, because if you do more for somebody or you over exceed their expectations, they're way more likely to keep working with you, develop a relationship, recommend you to another business owner. And one thing I always tell people is business owners always know at least one other business owner. So if
Very true.
a lot of people focus on like just like doing good work, but they don't focus on like the client relationship part. And so they might just be on set. It's very little things, but just like they might be on set mean mugging the whole time and barking orders at people. And they never once like just go check in on someone or act nice, or like during the lunch break, like go chop it up with the business owner, whatever it is. They're just very focused on their job, which is fine. And there's plenty of people that are good at that. But business owners remember when you're like nice to them, or you're nice on set, you're nice to your people, your workers. And then they're usually more likely then to recommend you to another business owner.
Right.
And be like, oh, well, he did this for me and now he can do this for you.
That's awesome.
Boundaries, though, setting boundaries is like definitely hard when you're first starting out, because I think as things were picking up, I just wanted to keep the momentum. So there wasn't really boundaries. It was just like, whatever you need, I'm gonna do. And like if you ask for more videos or you ask for more time, I'm gonna make it work. Like you're bending over backwards for the client, right? One of the biggest things that happened to me was people used to always ask for like a discount based on the number of hours that it was going to take to do the shoot, which now like I just charge a day rate. Like it doesn't matter what it is. You're getting a day rate, because what I've realized is you can't really split your time. And I've met some creatives that have tried, and it almost never works out, where they're like, oh, I have 2 shoots today. And then I'll usually get a call later like, hey, could you go to the shoot, pick up like just a couple hours because I'm running overtime on the first one. And it's like, yeah, because there's no such thing as like a half day, or this is only going to take this much time. You still have to prep. You still have to get there. You still have to tear down. Yeah. It's all the stuff. And so I think as I learned, I started setting more boundaries like now. And it's just through speaking to other people and learning, like, what do you do in your contracts and your, whatever. And then like picking up those things. And then also we're in the age of research and information. Like you can find out stuff. So I just look up or watch YouTube videos of other people and be like, oh, well, he just said he doesn't do half days. Like there's like this one YouTuber, I remember him being like, a half day doesn't exist in like this world. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Half day doesn't exist.
Right.
I just took it off of my pricing.
Exactly.
And then I've talked to one of my like best friends, mentor. I lived with him when I first moved, Daniel Karai. He's a director. And I learned a lot of stuff from him. But it was like every few months, I'd hit him up like with a crisis of pricing. I'd be like, man, I just don't feel like I'm charging enough. I'd be on my way to a shoot. Like, bro, I'm getting like this much, but I'm giving them like 15 pieces of social content. Yeah. They're gonna be able to post for months.
Yeah.
And I'm getting paid like something that's gonna cover like a fourth of my rent. Like, I don't know if I'm charging right. And he always has advised me, which it was hard to understand at the time. Because the hardest thing to do is raise your prices when you don't think you're worth it. Mm-hmm. But he would always tell me, he's like, don't have a really set like day rate and like fee that you just start applying to projects based on the number of hours or whatever. He's like, charge on value. So he's like, figure out how much they're gonna make or how much they're anticipated to make on, if it's a clothing brand, the drop. Mm-hmm. If they're doing a drop and they want you to do the commercial for it, what do they anticipate they're gonna make? What have they made from previous drops? Use that average and then charge a percentage of that. Like, do they think it's worth 20% of what they're gonna make to get a good video? Like, that's not really a huge percentage, but if they're gonna make $1 million, that's a lot of money. Versus you just being like, oh, I just charge like $1,000 a day. Like, if Nike hit me up for a commercial and their budget is $1 million, and I say, yeah, my day rate's $1,000 for the day, they're gonna say yes. Because they're like, okay, easy, because that's nothing. Right. But the standard, which I've also researched now, is like DPs, directors, they usually make percentages off those big campaigns. Gotcha. So if they're gonna spend $1 million, you should be making at least $100K. Yeah. Like, just for yourself. Yeah. And that's just a smart way to do business, because what's 10% to them? It's nothing. Right. That's a tip.
It has to be, exactly. And you need to base it based on a case by case situation, and not be so rigid.
Really, and nowadays, I don't necessarily just go to businesses and be like, all right, I'm charging 10%, but I charge based on like what they're wanting, and I always overprice it, and then walk it down in the negotiation, because at the end of the day, you don't know. Usually people won't tell you what their budget is. Right. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they're like, oh, we don't know. What do you charge? And so I'll just go high, which Dan taught me to do, but I didn't do it for years because I was just like, I don't think I can do that yet. Yeah. But now I've learned the amount of business that I've made now, where I thought I was gonna get this much, but then I quote a little higher, and they're just like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, this whole time I could have been charging these people more. Right. But you will never know that if you don't know your worth. So I think the biggest thing is just value yourself at where you think your worth is. Mm-hmm. And then as you do more work and you get more busy, there's natural points where you're going to just get frustrated with what you're making, and you'll know it's time to raise it. Yep. If you're struggling to get business, keep the price low, because like, you need to get people in the door first. But there's a lot of people that come out the gate trying to like make thousands and thousands of dollars, and
they
it's
don't
like,
have any reps.
You're not going to get no business because they can't see the work. First of all, you haven't produced it yet, and like, you haven't shown your value. So like, it's hard, but you got to just taking advantage of it first. Mm-hmm. Do stuff for low money. Sometimes you got to do free stuff, like I said, spec ads and whatever, to show your worth, and then raise your prices as the business grows.
I love that, because I feel like social media would have you think that, oh, I can just charge $20,000 out the gate, and it's like, you can try, and maybe you'll get a few people, but there is something genuine, more natural, more historically true about build your reps, get your reps in, get taken advantage of, which is, I think, amazing advice, within context, obviously, but you learn from it, and you learn, and you have literally been through it. And so it just builds your resume, it builds your character, I feel like. And obviously folks can take that too far we've heard and seen, especially in the creative and entertainment and, visual space, but there's still something wise about that. Like, it's okay. Do more than what's required, right?
And
over deliver.
Get on set. Like, one of the big things that I did when I first started was just ask to be on sets. I'd be like, I'll come do BTS. I'll come like take photos if you need it. I'll be a PA, like whatever you need, because I just wanted to be on set so I could see like, oh, like I see why they hire this guy to do the lighting and why they hire this guy to run the camera, and it helped me learn. Yeah. But I was like either getting paid nothing or getting paid very, very, very little just to be on set. But I did that for a while just to like learn.
And how do you find the sets?
So my friend Dan, he's a director. So
Okay.
I usually just ask him.
How'd
But
you find
usually
Dan?
Through school.
Okay.
Again, college and connections. It's
Yeah.
like we still don't even know how we met. But all I know is he made a video for one of my best friends.
Okay.
And I was like, this video's really cool. I need to meet this guy. And then next thing you know, we were friends. Yeah, it's crazy. He was in my wedding. Like we're like real close now.
Yeah.
But we don't even know how we really met.
No, that's cool.
But I think it's connections. If I didn't have school or just knew Dan,
Yeah.
and I moved to Charlotte, I would go to networking events.
Okay.
Like go to a Content Sunday, which is like a thing that's held, I believe, every other Sunday by one of my friends, Fitz.
Okay.
And it's a bunch of creatives that just get together. They'll do like workshops, they'll do mixers, they'll have like deep conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just creatives getting together.
Yeah.
There's that page, Charlotte is creative, like CLT is creative.
Mm-hmm.
They post all types of creative meetups and whatnot. There's like almost no way to not be connected to somebody that's doing stuff on set.
Yeah.
And once you get connected to those people, it's just like be a good person and then offer your help. Like just get on set with them. Just be like, hey, I'll come shadow, I'll come like pick up lunch, like whatever you guys need.
Yeah.
And just meet somebody. You just make a connection.
Yeah.
If you can get on set and you like become friends with the PA, that PA might reach out to you one time when they're not available and be like, hey, can you PA for me on this other set? Now you're getting more experience. It's just all about like saying yes to different opportunities and then being a genuine person when you're there.
Yeah.
And usually people will keep you at the top of their mind if they remember something about you. Like,
Yeah.
man, like the energy that he brought to set was just like
Good.
Like
Yeah.
I think I want him on set for something else.
Yeah.
But if you're just like if
In
you're
the corner.
negative or
Yeah.
something, or if you're in your corner and you don't talk to nobody, you seem a little off, people aren't going to be like, oh, I need to have him on set again, you know? So
Right.
it's just like, but it's also like, don't be over the top.
Yeah.
Because if you are too much, then usually you're not going to get invited back.
Right.
But yeah, finding that balance.
Yeah.
I think once you get connected, the possibilities are endless.
No, that's awesome. So usually I imagine the American dream is make $100,000 a year, or six figures, or it used to be that. So if a creative wants to have their own production company, what sort of dollar amount is reasonable for them? Is six figures reasonable?
I think six figures is reasonable. You can survive on six figures.
Yeah.
When I first started, I was not making six figures.
Right.
Like my first year, I probably made 50 grand.
Yeah.
And that's like net, like all the money that came in was 50 grand, but you're spending, that means I spent so much money on upgrades of gear and like my website and, this and that. So you end up not keeping that much of it.
Right.
Thankfully, I was somehow able to survive with that. I also had Dan, who was just like the best, like amazing friend who helped support me. So he was like, I'll just hire you for social media management, social media strategy. And he would pitch me to clients that he couldn't take on because his minimum level of engagement was higher.
Wow.
So he would only take on projects with like $10,000 budgets and more.
Yeah.
And anything else, he'd kind of be like, hey, like this is not really that much money, but do you want to take it? And I'd be like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then like second and third year, we've like doubled every year.
Yeah.
So like, and you double, but then you also try and spend less on the upgrades and the gear and the equipment because it's very easy to get stuck in the, you can upgrade your cameras and your lenses every year. Like
Right.
you can always
Right.
buy something new.
Yeah.
What I try to do is set goals for myself of like, I now own the camera that I was like, this is my dream camera. Like
Okay.
I was like, I need to have this set
Is
up.
that one?
No, actually.
Okay.
That's my B. But
Okay.
my dream is the Ursa 12K.
Okay.
The Mini Pro. So it's like this big beefy camera. And on one of my spec projects, I actually rented it because I was like, I want to like rent this camera, spend all this money on renting it so I can like get experience with it and also footage from it to be able to show like this is what I'm capable of with this equipment.
Yeah.
And I remember using it that day and being like, man, I need to own this. And I put like I was like, I'll get it in like 5 years or something.
Right.
But then I picked it up like the next year.
Yeah.
It was like a crazy, just, God opportunity to just
Right.
pick it up. But now that I have it, I'm not in this mindset of like, I need to go get the next big camera. I'm like, I can rock with this for a while.
Yeah.
And when the time comes, I'll know that it's time.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is just like limit your expenses and use what you have.
How well do you think you are at money?
I think I'm decent with it. We do have a company that helps us with like the accounting and stuff because I know I'm not the best. I know there's other people better at it.
Right.
And as I talk to other business owners and things, I start realizing like, oh, like I should be doing this as like a tax incentive, or like, I should be, doing this practice with like saving this much for taxes and whatnot.
Right.
And that's what you learn when you let other people in and like let them advise you.
Right.
So I don't think you have to be good at money to be a creative,
Yeah.
but I think you need to align yourself with somebody or people that are good at it, because it's very easy to kind of get lost in the sauce.
Yeah. Because as you start,
side.
I think the tradition for everybody, or the tendency, I think rather, is that as you make more, you spend more. And so we talk about that a lot on this show too, is like, how do you, no matter what you make the right decisions with it, and sometimes if it means upgrading, great. Because if that upgrade is going to showcase your work better, or it's basically an investment in your business, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And a lot of businesses do invest in themselves.
Exactly.
Like, especially starting out. Like,
it's a necessity for sure. But like as a creative, if you're, you've got to know that, because I always tell people this, you don't really have a business until you have customers. And I think people get excited about having paperwork and having LLCs and having logos. It's like, that's all cute. But when you have customers is when you have a business.
Yeah.
And like, when that money starts to flow, just, if you're going to reinvest, good. If it helps you get more customers, it's probably a wise decision.
Yeah.
But if it's just for bragging rights, look cool, it's probably not the right decision.
Yeah, which that was actually a conversation. It's nice being married because I get to bounce all decisions off my wife.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the first step of being like, is this a good decision or not? Because if I can convince her, it's like, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Because she will always be like, save the money. What do you need? What do you need another camera for?
Right.
But so we went from just having like that camera, and I brought up the conversation of like, I think I want to get the Ursa, and she was kind of like, that's kind of an expensive camera. Like, why do you need that? And I was like, I promise you, if we get this camera, we're gonna have like the best year we've had.
Grab that camera for us so we can, because I don't know anything about cameras at the level you know. I guess I do know something, but what does this? I mean, this thing it looks legit. So what does that do for the business? Is it the fact that it's bigger? Is it the fact that it runs longer? Is it the fact that it's like, what does the equipment for the business you're in, how important is it?
Yeah, so the equipment is important. I will say it's not as important to upgrade all the time, because there's a lot of nowadays camera companies operate like phone companies, where it's like there's a new camera every year. It's like this big drop. Yeah. And then there's a bunch of YouTube creators, which I'm not knocking anybody's, it's their job.
We've caught on.
Yeah, they go up and they're like, you have to get the latest Blackmagic. Like, this is why. And I think it's easy to get lost in that. Yeah. But again, making the decision based on what is useful. So this camera, it's a good camera. It does amazing. I actually love it. This is the Blackmagic Cine 6K. It's a full frame camera. Mm-hmm. It has an amazing sensor. This is a really good workhorse. This could be my A camera.
So
for sure.
TV. So is that?
No, it's a cinema camera.
Cinema. So that means some commercials you would use cinema cameras for?
Yeah.
If you're going to be at that level.
Yeah. Or like a short film, a movie. I believe this is Netflix approved. So like you could make like a documentary, a film, a movie on a camera like this.
Really? So there are certain platforms that require certain equipment. Like they won't even accept your movie if it wasn't shot in the right way.
Yeah. There's like a list of like cameras that are approved for Netflix and for Hulu and things like that.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
It's pretty wild. So this is like it's a solid camera, and I recommend it for a lot of people that are like starting out. Mm-hmm. It's very cheap. I got this for like, I think $1,700.
Okay.
Which is insanely cheap for a cinema camera.
Yeah.
It's entry level. The Ursa is like another step up.
Got it.
And so I was like, I need to get something a little bit just better, more powerful. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things. It creates better images, has better dynamic range than this does.
Is the runtime important on it, or
Not super, because you're not running, like, you're usually running batteries. Off
anyway?
Of them,
Okay,
but,
so that's the depth of field is
depth of field, yeah, is important. The dynamic range is like what allows you to. It's like what makes the image look really rich. So you're getting more color information. You're getting like the sensor is just like stronger.
Got it.
It gets really nerdy and deep, but that's like the basis of it. And lenses are really important too for like depth of field and the look and the characteristic of your stuff. And so those were the two things I wrote down. Was like, I need to get my dream camera and I have to get lenses.
Yeah.
Because for the longest I was running on like one lens and just kind of making everything work on that.
Yeah.
One of my spec pieces, actually, both spec pieces were shot on just this one lens that I owned. Still own? I think I still own it. But we used just one lens.
Wow.
And when I look back at the footage, I realized like, oh, we're missing like different lenses and different focal lengths and things like that. Like we could have definitely done a better job, but that's where, you upgrade, because you look at your work and you're like, this could have been better if we had 2 more lenses.
Right.
This could have been better if we owned that camera. Like, we can make this work consistently. So I was able to convince the wifey to let me get the Ursa, and I made a video about it back in maybe January or like late last year after I got it. And this has been the craziest year. Like, there's been multiple months this year where I've been either traveling or working every day of the month, except for like 1 or 2 days.
Wow.
And I'm not saying it's just because of the camera, but I do think that getting a camera, we also purchased lenses. Those 2 things did help bring more customers in the door.
Yeah.
And so it's like that decision wasn't just a look flashier, but it was like this will actually elevate our work, make our commercials better, make our films better.
Yeah.
And that in turn, people see that, they notice it, and they want to hire you more.
What would you say is your style now that you've got the equipment, you've got what and I don't even know how you do this, but I guess this is my best way as a consumer of films and stuff. The Spike Lee, I don't know if it's called the Spike Lee style, but where you're like rolling and it's just like this weird frame that
he does like the double dolly a lot, so it's like both the camera and the person moving,
right, that thing that's he's known for. Like, and I remember seeing it as a kid, like, what in the world's going on? But it's stuck in my mind even to this day, 30 plus years later. So I don't know what filmmakers say about that, but does everyone feel like they have to have their style? If so, what is your style? What is your signature?
That's interesting. I don't know if I have like a style or a signature yet. I think I need a few more years, probably decades under my belt to really be like, this is the Maurice style.
Yeah.
But I think right now it's just like trying to get rich stories, color. I like stuff that's just like gritty, grungy, like just like deep and rich color grades. Sometimes it's soft though, so it's hard to say like I'm just one thing. It definitely depends on what the piece needs. But what I enjoy doing is the stuff that's just like filled with culture. Like, it's not like you see a lot of commercials on TV, and now I watch TV differently, but you see commercials that are just like for a medicine, and it's just this basic. It's almost like you could just, anyone could pick up a camera and go shoot this. It's like you just got to film a video of the pharmacy, then you got to film someone picking it up and then smiling at the camera, and, read the list of negative effects. It's like very simple.
Yeah.
And it feels like maybe at some point that became like a standard, so a lot of people started making commercials that are just standard.
Yeah.
I like stuff that has narrative to it, even if it's commercial. Like I like a story within the commercial.
Yeah.
So if it's a hair company, let's place everybody in a salon and like make a story around what's happening in the salon around the hair product, not just show the product. It's kind of like Nike. Like I think Nike has influenced a lot of what I like to see and what I like to do.
Yeah.
White & Kennedy is like the company that does like all most of their like major commercials. It's an agency.
Okay.
And they have a specific style or feeling that they always leave you with. It's like they're not just selling you a shoe, they're selling you like the idea behind the shoe and like the culture that it like brings with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to do. Is like I like to just make you feel something when you watch whatever I make.
That's great. So let's say I've got a business and I want to, let's say I got a clothing company. Rude. I really like Rude's clothing.
Yeah, their stuff is dope.
So I like how when you look at some of their commercials and stuff, this guy, he's sometimes on boats or like, looks like he's in Italy and all this sort of thing, and it gives you this feeling. To your point of Nike, let's say I have my own company, and I tell you, hey, I want something similar to that. How do you, as quick as you can, what would you advise me as a potential client? What I need if I want to get that similar effect, and what's my like starter package, upscale package, kind of premium package?
Yeah. So typically what I would do with any client or whatever, and this has happened to me actually because of some pieces I've done where people will hit me up and they're like, I want this feeling.
Yeah.
Like you did this piece for this clothing brand. I want the same vibe for, my company. And what I usually would do is just ask a ton of questions.
Yep.
Because that can be like you saying like Rude's company and like how they're in Italy and this and that. I would ask you like, what does that make you feel that you want for your company? Like what, it's not just that they're in Italy. What about being in Italy do you like?
Feels like vacation.
Yeah,
it feels
like vacation.
It feels
upscale,
luxury. Yeah.
So then I'm taking notes. I'm like, okay, they want a luxury feeling commercial. They want it to feel like vacation. Then I'll ask you more questions. Like, do you like the feeling of a solo vacation, or do you like a family style? Like, do you like seeing kids in it, or is it like elevated adult solo trip? They're like a business working man.
Yeah, no
like
kids.
What's the vibe?
Love my kids, but
right, no kids, right?
No kids.
So once we get all those details down, that's when I figure out what vibe you want for your production, and then I'll ideate based off of that.
Got it.
And sometimes there's different scales. Sometimes a business owner comes with an idea and they just want you to execute it, or bring it to life, maybe add your own flair to it. But sometimes, I get hit up with, I don't know what I want. I just like this piece.
Yeah.
And usually what I'll do with that is start them by, like, if there's anything you've seen that you're like, I would love that in my commercial or whatever, I ask you to send it to me. Like, send me your references, and I'll watch them and myself try to pull those. Like, okay, I like the theme of this. Maybe they like the color grade of this. And we try to piece that together to make your commercial.
What does color grading do exactly? Because I heard you talking before we started. What is the thing about
color grading? Is huge. It's so basically color grading is coloring an image. What comes out of that camera, this camera, and most cinema cameras, and probably what you're filming the podcast on, like everything, it's flat. So it's like a uncolored image with the saturation and the contrast pulled like pretty much like way down, and it allows. It's, again, a lot of nerdy stuff, but it just retains the most color information, so that you can then insert it in post on your editor. So you're able to go in and like dial in how much blue do I want to see? Like, do I want more red in this image? Do I want it to be warmer in the shadows or the highlights? And you can basically just mess around with all this stuff, change the contrast. You can make it softer. You can make it more crunchy. There's just a ton of stuff you can do with that raw file. And color grading is the art of like bringing that color back into it and then dialing it into exactly what you want to see.
And have you done studies, or in some of your work that you've done, psychologically learned how these different effects affect the consumer or affect the person?
To be honest with you, no. To be completely honest, there's like almost nothing. I can't call myself like a professional color grade or colorist, because real colorists, they're sitting there like with all these panels and like this crazy setup, and they're in like a dark room with the color calibrated monitor, and they're like, I've seen them do some insane stuff. So I have to have a lot of respect for real colorists that get paid thousands and thousands of dollars to color grade footage. But I like to call myself like a little amateur colorist, and I honestly just color grade off of vibes.
So, the vibe you're getting.
One of the things that I'm trying to do actually, in the process of launching, is another company, because I just love like entrepreneurship and all that.
Yes.
But I want to launch a mentorship program on color grading specifically, and it's gonna be called Grade Lab. And the whole idea of it is that color grading, I see so many people selling LUTs and selling like a quick, which another good business model is to sell something that you don't need to even touch or handle, and people just purchase it, you make money, and they can slap it on their footage. But what I've realized as I've learned color grading is it's not just slapping a LUT on. A lot of times it's messing around with like 50 different combinations of like a film emulator, which like makes it look like a film stock. So you're giving it like this vintage look. But when I first started, I used this thing called Dehancer, and it's like a plugin that just, you slap it on, you hit a film stock, boom, your image has this really cool look to it. And at first I used it just like that. I would just slap it on.
Perfect, we're done.
Turn on the opacity sometimes and be like, oh, it looks great. And then as I started messing with it more, I realized like, oh, it's kind of cool to mix like 2 or 3 of this plugin together and like change the stocks. And it was recently on a flight. I was color grading a wedding. And I was like, I just want this wedding to look like, I wanted to have that feeling.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I actually did have a feeling or a style that I was like aiming for. And I had to get my colors to match it.
Yeah.
And before it was just like, you get the footage, slap some color on it. You're like, it looks good.
Yeah.
This time I was like, no, like, and so as I looked through the film stocks on this plugin, each one I started realizing like, oh, that gives it like a cool feel. Oh, this gives it a warm, nostalgic feel. This gives it like that soft feel. And I sat on a flight. It was a 2-hour flight. The whole 2 hours, I color graded one clip. Normally, I would have been done with the whole thing.
One clip.
But I color graded one clip because I spent most of the 2 hours clicking on every single film stock, which helped me a lot with just knowing Dehancer. But I clicked on every film stock, looked at what it was doing, and then I'd screenshot the ones that I liked. And then I went back. I had like maybe 6 out of like 50 stocks. I was like, these 6 gave me a good feeling. Let me look back over them and decide which one I want to use. Then that's when I was like, wait, what if I mix number 1 and number 4? And then I started doing like 2 and 6, 3 and 5. And I realized like, oh, this is the best combination. It gives this really dreamy look. And so that's why I want to launch Grade Lab, is because I don't think color grading is a one-click solution.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's even something that I could teach as like a one-time course.
Yeah.
I think it has to be something that's like, it's a look, it's a feeling, it's something that has to be like curated.
Yeah.
And so I want to launch this mentorship because I think in a few sessions, still not enough time, but it's a little bit more than what you'd get from just watching me, talk on a video course, and then you learn what to click and what to do. I want to walk step by step with someone and be like, do you see what this is doing in the highlights? And like, what feeling do you want? Do you think this is accomplishing it, or should we try this? Because I think I've learned the best in my career with someone in the room with me, like hands-on teaching me. So a lot of the things I've learned cinematography wise, running a video production company, came from watching Dan, my best friend, just like do his thing with his company. And as I like would see him doing stuff, I'd ask him, hey, why do you use gold mounts versus V mounts? He'd be like, well, the connection's more secure. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm going to use gold mounts. Versus if I look it up online, and I have before, everybody says V mounts. Like, well, most people, most of like the YouTube content creators are like, V mounts, because it's more readily available. There's more companies that make those. Gold mounts are a little bit older style, but I've personally recognized through Dan and through just personal work now, I've worked with V mounts and gold mounts, and I realized the connection is more secure. I've had V mounts pop out. I've had mounts break. Never had a problem with gold mounts. And it's like those little tidbits of information you can't just learn in a course. You have to like talk to somebody that's going through it.
True apprenticeship.
And so that's why I'm trying to launch the color grade program, and then maybe in the future it becomes more than that.
That's good, man. We'd love to help you with that if we can. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What I want to ask you, so do you find the company starting to kind of aggregate around different industries, restaurants, weddings, clothes? Do you see it like being where, okay, these become kind of our go-to industries? Like, I know how to do a restaurant commercial now because I've done 30 of them.
In a way, yes. Like, just naturally, it's kind of gotten to that. And I think a lot of it is what I also enjoy doing. The stuff you like doing, you tend to kind of say yes to more, or you try to like make it work, in the negotiation phase. And then the other stuff you don't like, you're just like, here's the price. You can do it. If not, find somebody else. And I find myself doing a lot of fashion stuff. It's just fun. I love clothing brands. I love fashion. From a cinematography perspective, I'm not even like really like a fashion person myself. Like, you could name some brands and I'd probably be like, I don't know who they are. I don't really wear them, but I find capturing it cool. So I think that's one. And music videos would be another. Usually like higher budget music videos where we can really like bring in a crew and make it.
What's higher budget? 100 grand?
Like, well, that would be amazing. But usually I just say like more than 10K. Like,
more than 10K.
Because most people,
10K is
Charlotte,
low.
you're hitting 10K in anything is like low budget. But right now at the point where I'm at, I'm not doing like a ton of 100K plus projects in general. There's been a couple, like, it's been humbling, but like you get to work on these huge things and bring on big crews and you make good work. But I get DMs every day from like artists being like, hey, I got like $500. Can we make like this Drake style video? And I'm like, you know what Drake spent on that? Drake spent like $500K.
Right.
And so it's like
missing a few
you know,
zeros.
I usually just tell people like that's the minimum.
Yeah.
You know, if you got 10K and up, like let's talk. We can at least make something like at 10K, we can make something cool.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely can stretch it.
Something respectable.
But you know, more, we can really go, we can make you fly and, you know, we can get on a yacht and all this stuff. And
right.
really go crazy.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you, what was I going to ask you? Do you travel to, I don't know, do you have like, is it all like, well, I guess, is it mostly businesses or individuals?
Mostly businesses.
Mostly businesses.
We actually typically, like when we get inbound leads, we'll basically tell people if they're an individual, we're like, hey, we mostly work with businesses.
Gotcha.
Because a lot of times individuals aren't going to know why something costs this much. And they're not going to even want to, like you tell them a number and they're like, what? Like I don't have that much. And it's like, oh yeah, we work with businesses that like are making profit and have a budget for marketing and know how to allocate
get an ROI on it.
Yeah. And they get why they're doing it. Like they're like, oh, if we spend 50K on this, but we're about to make 3 point something million on this campaign,
it's totally fine.
That's worth it.
Part of the
budget. But an individual, you know, you charge them 5K and they're like, this is the last 5K I had in my savings. And even if it returns, they're less likely to see why that was important.
So you said customers are coming in. How are you getting customers, and how would you suggest? I mean, at this point, you have to do basically zero outreach, or do you still have to kind of?
I mean,
grease the wheels.
For the most part, I do zero outreach. If I do outreach,
when did it get to that point? Was it one big commercial that hit?
I would say like just after that first year of like struggling, year 2 was like our build year, like where we started doing some cooler things, and we had like, I would say maybe 3 or 4 projects that I was like really proud of. I was able to build my website off of. I think at that point, once I had a solid website, and my socials, what happened was the first year my socials didn't really hit. Those talking videos I made, you know, they were doing all right. But then all of a sudden, after doing it for like 6 months, 7 months, it was like Instagram, TikTok, and all those places started rewarding me. And I was very consistent. I used the hashtag Charlotte videographer, hashtag Charlotte photographer on every single post I made for like 6 months. And after a while, it was just like everybody started finding me through those hashtags. And people would be like, hey, I saw like 4 of your videos on the hashtag page. I liked your style. I reached out. Obviously, in that first part, it was a lot of low budget. And still to this day, I still get a lot of low budget stuff from socials because it's social media. People are just swiping and clicking and feeling happy. So now I kind of tend to ignore social media inbound leads because it's usually not good. If someone takes the time to find your website and fill out a form, or they find your email and send you like a professional email, that's when I usually know, okay, this is a good business. But yeah, I would say a couple years in was when it finally started being a lot of inbound, and it was more so like us responding to inbound leads, scheduling calls. There's, for some of them, like we're building out pitch decks because it's like whenever it's like a larger concept and I know it's going to be a little bit of a sell, like it's not just like here's the price, let's do it. It's like they give me an idea and I'm like, I actually just did this like yesterday. A clothing brand reached out that wanted to do this like motorcycle police chase commercial for like a drop. And I was like, all right, this is a lot. Like, you know, they wanted to basically close down a road, you know, bring out like police to act, but to act with police, you have to have police on site. It's like a whole thing. And then multiple locations, and they wanted some crazy shot of like person standing on a motorcycle, like a lot of crazy stuff. And I was like, okay, we're gonna need a virtual production studio. We're gonna need a private road. We have to pay for permits for that. We need to have like police on site. We have to have a medic on site, like all this kind of stuff to make sure we're safe and doing this production well. And so I actually use ChatGPT in my workflow to help me build out these quotes, because what I'll do is it knows all of my pricing and general cost of like labor. So I'll just basically tell it, I need this person, this person, this person. We got to have a medic on site. We need to have a permit for a road somewhere in the city. We need to have a police escort. Like, what does that cost? And then it like gives me all this aggregated cost. And so I ended up sending out this estimate for like 50K or something for this commercial. And, you know, they came back, they're like, nah, like, you know, we're good. And I was like, that's fine. But you got to realize like what you're asking for and what it entails.
This is the true.
And for that one, I built out a pitch deck because I want them to see what we're trying to do.
I'm not just saying
50 just because.
I'm showing you.
This is the crew.
Yeah.
This is the style we're aiming for. This is what it's going to entail.
Right.
And this is what we can create. And they were just like, they were kind enough to respond and be like, hey, that's not really what we're looking for.
Yeah.
We went with somebody else. Yeah. But in the past, I might have just been like, give me $1,500 and I'll make it happen.
We'll work with it.
Yeah, right. And I would have just been like hanging out of a car with a gimbal and like trying to shoot. But now I understand to make, and what I tell people when I reach out is to reach the standard of quality that we like to have, we need this much money, because I don't like to work without at least 2 other crew members. I used to do everything myself. That's the easiest way to grow is to start working with other people. Because it's very hard to convince a company that the investment they have to make is for one person.
Right.
And I know some people that do. Some people by themselves are charging thousands and thousands of dollars and they're making a good living.
Yeah.
But it's harder to do that than to be like, hey, we are charging this much because we got to bring in a sound guy, a gaffer, a grip, and all these people to make this commercial happen.
Yeah.
Once you start doing that, it actually gave me more confidence to be like, oh yeah, I do need minimum 10K.
Right.
Because at first, it sounds crazy to say that I need that myself.
Right.
But now I understand this is the value of bringing on a team, and then you're able to double and triple and quadruple what you charge because you're bringing on 4 of yourself to do it.
For sure, it makes sense. Question: story. What makes a good story?
I think a good story. I think at the end of it, it's whatever, it needs to have meaning. It needs to have a motif, something that people are walking away with something.
Yeah, what are you walking away with?
And then your characters help sell that. Your setting helps sell that. And then I think lastly is the camera and I think lighting and look is super important from a video perspective. From the directing perspective and the creative direction, it's what's the actual idea that you're taking away from this. And then the dialogue that you build around that. So to me, I think I can't even say this, but I probably would never make a silent film unless there was a super intentional reason behind it and very intentional shots, very intentional structure.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, I like dialogue.
Yeah.
It's just, that's real life. We talk, we are humans. We have discourse. And so usually for any commercial, I like there to be some type of dialogue, some type of discourse. And if there's not, then there needs to be a lot said within the image itself. And there needs to be a feeling that you get from it.
Yeah.
So usually from a commercial standpoint, every piece that I make has there's something. If you're watching it, you're like, oh, the point, one of the ones that popped off this year was a chess commercial. It wasn't for chess, but it was a clothing brand commercial centered around chess. And it's this older guy who's beating all these people at the park. And then there's a kid that he clearly is kind of mentoring and is kind of helping bring him up. And the kid goes home and he's studying chess moves and he's practicing and he goes and gets the same outfit that the guy's wearing. And it's the story of that is the collection was heritage.
Okay.
And the point was heritage is the passing down of something to the next generation or to someone else. And so we visually represented that through chess, which seems random. And you might watch it and be like, oh, they just wanted to film cool chess stuff. But really, we started with the idea. The first thing was heritage. What's the definition of that? And then, what's a story we can build around that to, give you the feeling of heritage without being, a spelling bee and telling you the exact definition.
Yeah.
And crazy enough, that piece, I think, did resonate with people because I got probably 10 inquiries of people, and a few of them had the same title. They were like, oh, I'm making a collection called Heritage, and I want this feeling.
Yeah.
And some of them didn't even know why. They weren't I love that you represented heritage in this chess piece. They were just man, something about that piece, just the gradiness of it, the color grade, I don't know, the movement of the camera.
Yeah.
And whenever I would ask all my questions and dive deep into what they were looking for, it was heritage. They're we want that feeling of something being passed down.
Yeah.
It needs to feel deep, cultural.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of when you can tell a real story, people are attracted to that.
Yeah. No, that's super dope. And do you play chess?
No.
Okay.
That was actually I still need to make a breakdown on that. Did I? I think we did. That video is hilarious because we at first had this whole vision to be very true to chess and like make sure the moves made sense.
Yeah.
But we started running out of time.
Yeah.
And when you run out of time, you just got to shoot. And so we were like, just move any piece, just do whatever. And there was a few people on set that like knew chess. And they were like, that's not really like a legal move. And I was like, bro, nobody's going to know. Like,
Right.
just move the pieces.
Right. No, that's good. Okay, really quick, what book would you tell a creative that wants to get where you're at to read?
That's good because I don't really read much. But I have done 75 Hard, which forced me to read some books.
Okay.
And I think my favorite one from that was, I think it's just called Steve Jobs by, I'd say it's like Walter Isaacson, I think. And it's just like a autobiography, it's a biography on Steve Jobs.
Okay.
And I think what was so interesting, and also Shoe Dog on the creator of Nike. Okay. So I read both those books, which is so weird because I don't read much. Yeah. And but I am interested in reading. I used to read a ton as a kid, but now whenever like that challenge came around and I was like trying to choose a book, the only thing I was attracted to was like reading about these other entrepreneurs and like business owners, and just trying to figure out like what made them tick and what made their business successful. Yeah. And Shoe Dog was interesting because a lot of it, like when we were talking about reinvestment and like building, I mean, he did a lot of that and seemed really crazy. Yeah. Because he was doing it at like big, like he was like going out and being like, I need $1 million and I'll pay it back soon. Yeah. And he would pay it back and then go get another to put right back into the business. Yep. And it seemed a little crazy. Like he wasn't even paying himself much, but he had a vision. He was like, I need to keep reinvesting in order to reach like this point. Yeah. And eventually the business did take off. And it was like, you don't seem so crazy anymore for getting like a little $500,000 loan. Exactly. But same thing with Steve Jobs is like, he also was like seemed a little crazy, seemed a little obsessed with details. But when you see like what he built, it all makes sense. Yeah. So that's been my biggest takeaway. I've been a little bit like with the Steve Jobs thing, it's like he was a little bit like rude, and I don't want to ever be that way. But I've started like paying more attention to details and being like not apologetic about it. Like it's not a bad thing to be detail oriented. Yeah. If you like a vision for your company, like if I, there's a lot of things that creatives procrastinate because we're trying to perfect, and I do think there is power in just putting things out, even if it's not perfect, just to get the reps in and to like do it. Yeah. But there's certain aspects where I'm like, no, I want my website to be excellent. So I took 2 years to build it. Right. It's like, why did it take that long? Because every time I finish with the template and like doing it, I'd be like, this isn't it. Like it's not feeling excellent yet. Yeah. And then I'd go back to the drawing board and start again before putting it out to the public. And now that it's out, I get people reaching out all the time like, yo, who made your website? Like, what is this? Like, how do you, and I'll tell people, I'm like, it's a Webflow template that I found. It was like $100, but it fit the vision that I wanted for my website. Yeah. And so I took my time and like tweaked the template to work for me. So I think like having that level of perfectionism isn't like a bad thing. Yeah. But I think in terms of like putting out content or like telling people who you are, making content, like speaking and showing your level of expertise, that stuff I'm like, don't be perfect, just do it. Yeah. But in the things that make who you are, like your website, your biography, your portfolio, things that are like client facing that you're trying to like get out there, make sure it's good. Like don't just slap it together. I've met some creatives that like just have, a .wixsite.com website, and that's like okay starting out. But if you're really, really believing in yourself, go ahead and like purchase a domain and like invest, because there's no business that's ever been made without investment. You're either investing your time, you're investing your money, you're investing all of it. That's and I think if you're trying to do everything free and you're like, well, Wix is free, like how many people do you know that are doing stuff at a high level that you want to reach that have a Wix website or don't have an email, or whatever, like all those things. Like just go ahead and like you said, don't be obsessed with the like having the paperwork and all that. Yeah. You do need customers. Right. But sometimes getting customers means having a good first impression.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm becoming now a little wary. I don't know the right word.
I think weary was right.
Was weary of people that aren't willing to spend and invest in the business or in themselves, or just like, I know a lot of us grew up trying to save money, and it's like, okay, that's good, but I'm a little bit past that now. Yeah, I'm willing to spend the money
to make money.
To make it.
Yeah.
I want that return. Favorite film or films?
That's tough. I honestly, funny enough, am not like a huge film nerd.
Yeah.
Like people, you'd be surprised the amount of movies I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen Interstellar, which everyone's like, as a filmmaker, you got to see Interstellar. I'm like,
Okay, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah. See, like everyone said that, and I'm like, I guess. And I haven't seen a lot of old movies, but I would say right now. Oh, why is this so tough? I think Dune was really good visually. I loved Dune 2, the recent one.
I didn't watch it.
The visuals in that are like insane. And I found out it's because partly because the DP comes from a documentary filmmaking background.
Okay.
So he's not really like a movie maker. He's more of like a documentary maker.
Yeah.
But taking that into like the film world, I just love like the way he shot a lot of that stuff in Dune. And then Sinners was really, really good. I need to go rewatch that.
Yeah, I like that.
And then like old stuff, American Gangster. For some reason, like I just love the feeling that movie gave. So,
yeah, I love that movie.
I would say those three. I know
I
you asked
love
for
gangster
one,
movies
but
too. No, that's good.
Yeah.
This has been great. First of all, very
thanks for having me.
Yeah, very proud of what you've built, what you're building. I very much resonate, and I think our audience will resonate with your story of growing and going and sticking with it. And I love this because I interview so many people, and I hear these themes, and it's like the people who are getting to success, that are achieving to these levels, they have stuck with it. They have gone through it. They have dealt with some disappointment.
It's just consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just keep going.
I think something that's been on my mind lately, that's kind of like annoyed me, and I'm like, I want to combat it, but I get a lot of people DMing me like, and I can just tell they're searching for like a secret. Like they're like, they'll ask for advice, but then I'll give like the most. Like I don't have amazing advice. Like it's just like just stay consistent. Basically, all I say is stay consistent. Like do it and make the stuff that you want to be hired for. If you don't have it in your portfolio, it's very like basic stuff. And they'll kind of like keep asking questions because I can tell they're like, that's not what I wanted. Like I want like the secret to this. Like what do you do to like be this?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for like 8-9 years. Like it's taken a long time to actually get to. And I still don't think, like you said, like I've built something, but I'm definitely still in the beginning of like building what I want to have.
So that's a good question. What's next for you?
Man, I don't know. It's just continued growth.
Do you want to do feature films?
Yes. So it's so funny you asked that. If you asked me a few months ago, I'd have said no.
Really?
Because I only cared about commercials.
Yeah.
But I recently did a short film this year. We're actually in the editing process of it and hoping to get it in festivals later. But it's a 37-minute short film, which is on the... It's 37. Yeah, I think 37 minutes is like 3 minutes short of a feature film.
Oh.
So we basically made a feature film, but it was the hardest thing I've ever done. But the most like I've never felt more. We filmed for about 10 days. So it's like 2 weeks of like spending every day with these people. We did it fully self-funded. And at the end of those 2 weeks, we were all like just bags under our eyes, like super exhausted. We were having our last dinner, and everyone was like, yo, when are we doing it again? Like, and I was like, yo, I think I like making long form like film
because it pushed you to a brink, or
it pushes you to a brink and past it. You're like, oh, I can do this. Like
Right.
now every other project is like, oh, we have to film for a day. Like, okay, like 2 days, no problem. We did 10 of like no sleep.
Right.
We made it. So I
like
definitely,
that.
I want to make like more, I want to make more short films, definitely, because I think I can execute like a 10-minute film in like a few days. But I also want at some point to make a feature, which might be in the next like year or two.
So you did it with no budget. If you had a budget, what would you say? And I'm selfishly asking this for myself. If I wanted to make a film on a budget and it still be decent, what would you advise me that I need to be prepared to have ready to spend?
You just need to be prepared to have a lot of friends that can help you out, because there really is no like low budget way to make a film.
Okay.
Like we actually evaluated the film. Like we put it all into, I think we used chat and just like people's rates, and we're like, if we were to pay everybody for these 10 days of filming and then post-production, it's still like almost $200K.
Yeah.
And that's like low budget. Like that's like almost no budget.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
So you need $200K to be a low budget, no budget film.
Yeah. We spent like for our no budget film, we spent about like $5-6K or something of our own money to like make it happen.
Yeah.
So I would say like if you are able to find friends that can do favors, I would still be willing to have like 10K ready to just like permitting, locations, food is expensive.
You gotta eat. People
gear
gotta eat.
rentals. Yeah, you have to feed people at minimum. Which is mostly what we did. We were like, we'll pay for your gas, we'll pay for your food.
Yeah.
We'll have lodging taken care of, and that was pretty much it. We paid like certain people, but like that was it. And that still costs like around like that 10K mark. But we're fundraising. We're still trying to like recoup some of our funds, and who knows? You never know.
Do you have a plan for distribution or anything like that yet, or not really?
Yeah, so we have like a list of festivals we want to enter it in.
Festivals is the way.
I don't know. I've heard mixed reviews. About like what you should do,
but
like,
it's
some people are like, I just go straight to YouTube and like hope that people like, but we want to go to festivals. We want to hopefully win some awards, get some placements.
Yeah. Okay.
And then after the festival run, who knows? We'll probably release it like on YouTube, or I've heard that you can just put it on Prime. Like you don't have to get accepted. Like you just yeah. I heard from someone, they're like, anyone can put a film on Prime. I was like, okay. So we might try and get it on some platform and see what happens. Cool.
Because it adds a little bit of cachet, just because no one knows that.
And so no one knows that it's like, oh yeah, we got placed. Like
we're on Amazon Prime. Well, Mackenzie's a filmmaker, so I've met a few filmmakers, and I've always wanted to do a film because I'm like into writing and words, and I've written songs, and I've not put anything completely together. But you guys keep meeting folks, and I'm gonna follow the path.
Let me know when you want to make one.
All right.
Funny enough, after doing the short film, I started just like writing down random. So one of the things, like my grandma-in-law passed away last year.
Sorry to hear that.
It's okay, but there was like a level of grief that I had that I was like surprised. I was like, this wasn't my grandma, but I didn't grow up with grandparents. They're all in Haiti. Never really saw them. Like it wasn't like you go to grandma's house,
right?
And so losing her felt like losing my own grandma. And after doing the short film, all of a sudden I was like driving one night, 4 hours of sleep, and I was like, I think I want to make a film, to commemorate the relationship I had with my grandma-in-law. So then I wrote down an idea for that. Yeah. So I'm actually talking to Shay, who wrote the film that I DP'd, and we're trying to figure out, like, do we do a feature? Do we do an episodic thing? Like, do we do a doc? So we're figuring out what to do with that. Then I wrote down like 3 other ideas for shorts, which are just based on like real life interactions. Like I went on vacation, ran into somebody at this shop, and I was like, this interaction is like film worthy. I want to make a short film out of it. Yeah. And so I just like write it down.
That's dope.
So I just go around life, just like anytime something happens to me and I'm like, this is a cool feeling, or like I think somebody would get something out of this. I just write it down.
No, that's
and
dope.
Hope to execute it.
That's a good advice for everyone out there if you're creative and you're thinking like that. Okay, last question from me. What would older Maurice tell younger Maurice about the journey?
Older me would probably tell younger me to just like take it in and enjoy it and not feel the pressure to like make it. Because I think earlier on I was very like, I'm a driven person. So I think I just was like, I gotta make it. And so that's why when I had those slower months, I felt like the failure. Like I was like, I need to quit. Like this isn't for me. But now I'm kind of like, man, like that was enjoyable. Like that journey, that struggle, that up and down, like that's what makes this journey what it is. And I think if I would have just slow down a little bit and enjoy those moments and enjoy like the little projects that I was doing and like all those things, like that's the fun of it, the connections you make, the fun you have. So like don't feel pressure, like just do your thing, and eventually it's all going to work out in a while.
Yeah, that's good. I said that was my last question, but I lied. So I got one more. In terms of, because something you said earlier that intrigued me, do you feel like you could do what you're doing now on the side?
That's a good question. I don't think so. Not like where we're at now. Because I think at first, when it was a side gig, it was so hard to like build up the business because you're working on like your weekend availability when you're not working. And I worked in sports. So it's like, I still didn't really have weekends free. So when people were reaching out, it was like, I have these 3 days in like 2 months. Like, could you make it work? And they'd be like, never mind, bro. We'll find somebody else.
Right.
So it is hard to like make it work when you're also doing another job. So I usually encourage people. I'm a big like quit your job guy. Like, I truly believe if you take that leap of faith, and you really believe in yourself and you know that this is like a passion of yours, there's like no way you can fail. Like you will make it.
Yeah.
And one of my friends recently, Fitz, he's been a creator. He's the one that started Content Sunday, but he was working a full-time job at Apple and recently quit. And I swear, like since then, I haven't been able to get a hold of him because he's like just always working. Like every single day he has some gig going on. And I think it's just a testament to like, once you open yourself to the opportunities, they will come flowing.
They start flowing.
And it's hard to do it with a job.
Yeah.
I still think it's smart to build it at first.
Yeah.
I got some of my clients through freelancing on the side. And when I was able to go full time, it was like, okay, I already have customers.
Yeah.
And I was able to build off of that. But like, don't just go out with nothing. And I mean, maybe that's more faith and you might actually be more successful. But I advocate for like slowly swinging the pendulum. So I always say like, if your full-time job is here and your freelance or whatever is here, or it's nothing, just like slowly change it. Like start doing a little bit of content on the side, do a project or two on the weekends. And then as you start enjoying it more and more and you realize like, I'm kind of good at this, or like I'm getting more interest, swing the pendulum more to where your job matters a little bit less. And then once it becomes even or the freelance starts going above, that's usually a good time to quit and take off with your own business.
I think that's good advice. Would you say that you are rare? Like, meaning the space you're in, the industry you're in, can you look at when you go to these things, even though there's a ton of creatives, are you like maybe one of just a few that do what you do? Or is it because everyone's getting married, everyone's trying to start fashion businesses, everyone's trying to be the next rapper, that you have an influx, that makes you rare? Like there is a more demand than supply of what you do?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think there's a lot of creatives. Like I think you can find anybody that's looking for a video can find somebody to make said video.
Yeah.
I think in terms of like, I know I said I don't have like a style yet, but I think there is something that I have that does attract certain people. Because I've heard from a few clients before where they're like, man, like we were looking for, a different feel. And so they'll go from someone that they already had to like myself. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are attracted to whatever I display on my website, which is like what I display on my website isn't all my work. It's just the curated, like, these are the things that I want to be seen as. Mm-hmm. These are the works that are like the most me.
Yeah.
And that usually attracts a certain type of person.
Yeah.
Even with weddings, we have the same thing where the wedding clients we get are always saying, we don't want like the classic, like templated wedding film. And I think that comes from being really intentional ourselves to not make that kind of film. So like when you go look at our work, it's like more like documentary style videos, or like it almost feels like a TV show. And that's the goal. Like we want it to feel, I mean, there's this guy, Justin Porter, who does the same thing in the wedding industry.
Yeah.
And he's way more outspoken about it. Like he makes content basically saying like, those other wedding films suck. Like you want this style.
Yeah.
And he's blown up because of it. And he does these like Netflix series style weddings.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. And we kind of took a piece of that where we were like, I was like, I don't love just normal wedding films. I want to make a story. Like I want, like everybody has a story. Mm-hmm. And what most wedding filmmakers do is just show up with a camera and maybe mic up the bride and groom, and they just tell a general story of love. And we're like, no, like there's a deeper, like this couple has their own story. Everybody has a different story. How they met, what they like to do, why they're getting married, and all that. And like their parents will have something to say, like funny about them, whatever. And so we try to get all these interviews and sound bites and this and that. We mic up all these people because that's how you get the real essence of the story.
Right.
So I think in general, I just really like telling stories.
Yeah.
And I think that my obsession with it is maybe a little bit more than like some other people. So I don't know if rare is the word, but I guess more rare than well,
I like what my mentor says. Behind Dr. Darius Daniels is one of my mentors, and he says difference makers are different. And so you've got to somehow find your difference if you want to make a difference, right? And that's fine, because sometimes we're all trying to fit in. It's like, no, you can be different, and that can be okay.
Yeah. So one thing I want to say, a random thing that I do, like one of the random gigs I do is rowing. I have a rowing client, like a boat manufacturer.
Oh, wow.
That has hired me for like 4 years now, like ever since I started. Like they've been hiring me for regattas, and I've never rowed. I'm not in the sport. I never really watched rowing at all.
Yeah.
But they hired me right off the bat, just off my other work. Like they were like, and at that time, I don't even think I was great, but they were like, yeah, we need you to come shoot our stuff. And I remember being so nervous, and I still get nervous before shoots, but like I was nervous because I was like, I don't know anything about this. I don't know what, like, how do I film this?
Yeah.
And one of the things that they have said, and even now, like fast forward 4 or 5 years, they're like, the way you film it, it's like a different perspective on rowing because I think it's easy. Like anybody can pick up a camera and point it at an action.
Yeah.
But it's like the other stuff that makes, like, to me, the rowing is a great example because I know nothing about it.
Right.
And so going into it, when I first look at it, I'm like, the rowing to me, and now I say this because I can feel it, but I'm like, the rowing is like maybe 30% of my deliverable.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm going to get the shot of them going across the water.
Sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But it's everything else. It's like the picking up of the boat, the like look on their face when they're like first going out on the dock, or it's the team huddle. And I'm like, how do I frame this to look like, to give you a feeling of like their team and like their security? And so I might not show the boat that much, but still the company likes the content because it gives a feeling that you know their boat is a part of.
Right.
And so it's like, that's my approach. It's just
That's
like
key.
the story, looking at things differently, capture it. I try to capture everything super intentionally, even if it's an event that might be like more of like a standard event capture. I'm like, how do I make, like, I almost have a shot list in my head, no matter what I'm shooting. Even if it's, I recently posted something of myself, like just in an Airbnb, and I didn't shot list it. I didn't have a plan. I just pulled up to the spot and was like, this is gorgeous. Let me get my camera out. But internally, I still was like thinking of the deliverable and what's the story that I'm telling with this footage as I'm shooting it. So I think that's just, I don't know, I'm story driven.
No, that's good. I think that's good advice for anyone listening. And it's important that if you don't know something about something, it could be an advantage, not a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Right? Because now you're going to notice things that maybe
Totally different.
everyone else thinks is, oh, I'm not paying attention to that. But that's the actual thing that, interesting, to your point, gives that feeling. All right, tell the people in that camera where they can find you, how they can find all your work. I'm sure they want to listen, see, visualize.
Awesome. Cool. Well, you can find my work at mv2creative.co or .com. If you add that M, it will still go there. But also on socials at mv2creative on everything. That's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, man. We appreciate it having you.
Thank you.
Look, I think this is really interesting, and I hope you guys really enjoy the interview, because I think what we see in you is what hopefully people can see in themselves. And it's this saying we used to say when I was in college, like, there's a difference between doing something and then really demonstrating what's possible. And I like how your life, your journey, the things you've been through, you're demonstrating the possibilities, and not just, now, but whatever else will come. And so it's a pleasure meeting you, pleasure knowing you. I think the sky is the limit. And I hope all of you out there listening were encouraged by that. Hope it helped you as much as it helped me. And as always, it's your boy, StephenMotivate. Stay motivated. Until next time. Peace.